Welcome, family, to another episode of Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How are you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms, family. We really want to thank every single person that has supported us on Patreon and sent us a love donation through PayPal. It really does help us to continue to bring the awakening news to our people. So we appreciate, love you so much for that, and may abundance and good opportunities be just a common feature in your life. Family, thanks to everyone that comments, that likes, that shares. It's so critical that we continue to get the message out there to these key narratives out to our people, so that we can have a paradigm shift in the way that we talk about ourselves, in the narrative that we all cling to as our common story. Because right now we're still living in his story, family, but those are stories for other days. I get asked a lot, and I feel your pain. I feel your pain, family. All the emails that I've been receiving about people who are really in some deep spiritual battle, be it with their family, be it with their spouse, just someone nearest and dearest to them, including even, their business partner, where they just find themselves like some black magic is involved, or some kind of voodoo, juju is involved, very dark kind of manipulation of the energies to suppress people, to oppress people, to harvest people's blessings, to, steal their joy, to block their marriages, to block their prosperity. I mean, so much is being done, family, and it's just because of the bad mind of others. There's so many things we can use to explain why people do the things they do, and that's a very important element of forgiveness. But you know what? I'll cover that in a different show, because I want to talk about how do we overcome that, because it almost feels like the battle is even getting more intense when we were so close to victory. And there are different steps that you can take, family, but one of the keys, I'm just going to give you a few major keys today. One of the major keys is your awareness. And I know from the way that you guys send me your emails, I know that once you became aware that some dynamic in your family, or some dynamic with your spouse, or some dynamic with your friends was off, once you became aware that your blessings kept being hijacked, like you'd be on the edge of breakthrough, and that breakthrough is taken away. Once you became aware that there was some kind of manipulation somewhere on your personal free will, that changed everything. And that's probably what has even led you to this video today, or what has put you on this path of awakening. And so we give thanks and praise for that awareness. We give thanks. I am so grateful, family, for the day that I became aware. And it's painful, because it usually involves a lot of tears, just to even just wash out the eyes, help you to see more clearly. But it's just that awareness was everything. That awareness was the key to my salvation. And, the awareness, unfortunately, most of the time comes with a negative experience that kind of shocks us out of our habitual nature and out of our current narrative, and forces us to question that narrative and shifts that narrative, sometimes shatters that narrative completely. But that awareness, that initial awareness is like, and then, you go from awareness to awareness to awareness as you continue to do the work, family. And it's painful. But once you see the enemies of your soul, once you see the people in your life for who they really are, and not everyone is negative, but unfortunately for many of us chosen ones, the majority of the people we've interacted with have not been positive for us, because we were literally not an energetic match. But that's a whole other angle to this. So the first way that we are able to free ourselves from the bad luck, from the juju, from the hoodoo, whatever you want to call it, is awareness. Just being aware of it shifts it totally. And we can see that even with reality. There's an experiment that was done maybe a decade or so ago, which talked about how the mere observation of a human to an experiment impacts that experiment, changes that experiment. The fact that we're watching the experiment changes the results of that experiment. Or the way they say that, in a forest, when there's no humans, when a tree falls, there's no sound. I know that one kind of tripped me out. But so the awareness family is absolutely everything because it shifts us. It shifts us. And most of this can only continue while we're unaware of it. Which is why we talk about the veil of sleep. Just the veil of not seeing things as they really are. And this is what Babylon has manipulated and done on a mass scale. So once you have that awareness family, the way to really free yourself from it, because initially, when you get that awareness, you'll want to get back at them. And as I always say, the best way to get back at your enemies is just return that energy back. Return those thoughts back. Return those aspirations back. Return those death spells or whatever. Return them right back to sender and add a little energy to it, tenfold, sevenfold, 100-fold. Just return it back. That's the best. Because when you start dabbling, they do some pretty dark, because we're in the age, we've just left the age of blood magic. So the things these people had to do at death magic, the things they had to do to get energy just became more and more diabolical. So you don't want to go down that road because that's not how you need to get energy. You get energy from the sun. You get energy from just, rising to a certain level of thinking and being and existing. In fact, you are energy. Those are stories for other days. So the way to get to clear from these people, family, is to rise above, to work on your healing, to work on, on your forgiveness. And forgiveness is not so much about accepting someone who says they're sorry. That's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is understanding, understanding, and overstanding something from a level of compassion. Okay, I get why they did that. That's how you heal yourself, because forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is for you. And once you can overstand, but you're not making excuses. Once you understand, okay, they did this because of A, B, C, D, but they still did this. And for that reason, I have to end this relationship, this situationship, whatever. Anyway, let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Looking for a conscious community or for people, who are on their awakening journey, on their transition to an off-grid living in your country, well, we have the solution, family. We're calling it Unity Communities. We get so many emails every week from people who ask if I know of people in their region or people in their city or people in their town who are on a similar kind of journey, who have broken away or are breaking away from the religious psychosis, and they're looking for just people who think the same way in their town, in their city. But more importantly, to give us a community where we feel understood, understood, overstood, where we can bond with people of like mind. And if you feel called to be part of this, definitely email me at drmumbi at drmumbishow.com. Please put your country in the subject line with Unity Communities. Get in touch with me, drmumbi at drmumbishow.com. Unity Communities. Wake up, Africa! Welcome back, family, to Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? Special shout out to everyone that supports us on Patreon and sends us love donations through PayPal. We appreciate, love you so much. It definitely enables us to keep bringing the awakening news to our tribe, to our people, family. Today we're talking about how do we go beyond the hexes, the curses, negative intentions, the hatred of our peers that creates obstacles in our lives, that has been stealing our harvest for so long. We're in a new dispensation, that won't be happening anymore, but that creates obstacles and delays and diversions and distractions in our lives. How do we do that? Family, we have to rise above it. Because the only reason we're still fighting in the mud with a lot of the enemies of our souls, be it in our family, be it in our spouses or in our friendships, in our workplace, and a lot of them using hoodoo, voodoo, whatever, is because we're on the same energetic level as them. We still, in some way, shape, or form, have the same thinking as them, the same energetic kind of frequency as them, and that's why they can throw a dart of hatred, of animosity, of jealousy, of envy, and that dart will penetrate us, even if it just penetrates the outer, maybe the emotional body or the psychological body. Even if it just penetrates that, we still feel it energetically in one form or another, and it makes us feel some type of way. And I know sometimes it sounds so simplistic, but you just have to raise yourself up to a totally new and different frequency, family. And the way we do that is, first of all, once you become aware of something, which is the greatest blessing, then you have to move into removing that from your space, cutting off the leaks of your energy, cutting off those, defending yourself, protecting yourself. And that's what usually happens once you awaken to what these people are doing. Usually your spiritual team will lead you to different remedies and solutions to protect yourself symbolically in different ways, to call on spirit, to call on your guardian angels to protect you and stand with you. So first it's to disconnect. Many of us are forced to cut off certain family, cut off friends, cut off, leave jobs, leave even geographical locations, because of this kind of spiritual warfare and the soul ties and everything that exists there. And once we start to cut them off, we start to have more clarity, and sometimes we'll even have more insight into exactly what was done to us, into exactly the type of hoodoo, voodoo, juju, witchcraft that was used against us in terms of what they were trying to send to us. Sometimes the spirit will speak directly to us. Our guardian angels will reveal this as we meditate, as we sit in silence, as we, sit in nature. We'll have all these revelations, or certain visions and dreams will enter our mind, or we'll just have certain aha moments where we recognize certain, why certain things happen, or certain narratives come into our perspective. And we realize, when I was 2, this is what was happening. That's why they've always told me that story, and that's why that was done, etc., etc. And so once you increased awareness and kind of putting the pieces together, because the more awareness you have, the more those things disintegrate. And as you increase your awareness, family, you have to learn to forgive. And forgiveness isn't what we are told, that someone says, I'm sorry, and you're like, okay, I forgive you. No, that's not what it is. Forgiveness is for yourself. Forgiveness is about, I understand why you did it, so I'm not going to hold it against myself like it was some kind of weakness in me, like I missed it or I didn't see it. It's because you're this kind of human being and I'm this kind of human being. And so understanding why people did certain things, the kind of checkers they were playing, or the kind of chess they were playing with your life. Some of us find that there's even secret societies and all these things involved. And when you're able to put all those storylines together and see where you fit in as a chosen one, as someone who has come in with a higher vibration, with a higher understanding of love, with a higher understanding of creation and of power and of healing and all these things and transformation and all these wonderful things, that kind of made you a target. And when you start to see the storyline from that impersonal perspective of why everything happened to you, then you can release and close out that book of life and move into a brand new story for yourself that you are the author of, or that you and Spirit are co-authors of. The story that you wrote before you got here, but somehow you got derailed, distracted, obstructed, imprisoned, enslaved from it, so that you could never truly live what we call your best life. And you see, once you're able to forgive family, you release that energetically, because forgiveness is, you don't want to hold that inside of you, because that sends out a certain vibration that can still resonate with the people or the energies. Because sometimes, remember, we wage war not against flesh and blood, but against, spiritual wickedness in high places, against, principalities, rulers of the darkness of this world. And so some of us, we're not contending so much as in with people. Maybe major characters in our lives have possessed those spirits, but sometimes it's a spirit. And especially you can notice even sometimes in your romantic relationship, how you'll leave the devil and then you'll attract another devil or a worse devil, but, and devil being, just a symbolic term. But you recognize that you have a certain attraction to a certain spirit, to a certain type of person, to a certain energetic, like a certain personality and psychological, thinking kind of person. Like you almost feel like you've been with them before, because they represent so many characteristics of the kind of, maybe that relationship principality that is in your life. Sometimes it's a family principality that you haven't let go of, that shows up in your friends or shows up in the dynamics of your workplace. And so when you deal with that spirit in one person, it's like you're dealing with it on all levels of your reality. And that's why we forgive, so that we understand how this game was played against us, how the chess moves were made to either enslave us, obstruct us, distract us, whatever, so that they could, because it's all about energy. It's all about getting your energy, and usually it's your reserve fuel that you're supposed to use when you go into your calling, because you have extra energy for that. That's what they usually try and tap into and take prematurely from you. So once you understand the narrative of that, you can close out that narrative, and even just you knowing it, you can deny, you can reject that narrative over your life and demand that a new narrative takes center stage in your life, a new narrative that is authored by you. Because a lot of times this has happened without our knowing. And that's why I say awareness is the key, because you awaken to the fact that you've lived a life of manipulation, you've lived a life of distraction, you've lived a life of obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. That wasn't even about you, that wasn't even about who you were, but it was about who you were meant to be. And we're leaving that age, so in this new dispensation, we have the opportunity to do that. But heal from that. And healing means to make peace with it, to forgive that timeline, to forgive that narrative and let it go. So that you can enter a new narrative, and that new narrative will be on a new energetic level that your family, your friends, the enemies of your soul can't reach or penetrate. They can't reach you there. Literally, even if they have your number, even if they have all your things, they can't reach you on that level. And that's the way you now start to block the darts of the enemy and move into a new life story. Disconnect, be aware, disconnect, rerun the narrative so that you can close it out, so that you have an inner understanding of why it happened, and then raise up by healing and forgiving. And in your new raised position, they can't come to you as who they were. And many of them don't even have what it takes to change. So the way you overcome these is be of a different frequency from them. And then continuously continue to cut those cords, family, to sever those ties. Because some of them run deep. Some of them have done magic on you for decades to ensure that at such a time as this, you would not be able to break free. So as you're moving into a new story for yourself, continuously listen to your spiritual team and follow and heed the instructions of how to, clear your energy, clear your vibe, so that you release that baggage and travel as light as possible. because you have to make room for what is now unfolding, which is absolutely beautiful. You got this, family. You got this. Raise yourself higher so that even the narrative of Babylon and the spells and hexes and curses of Babylon that they've tried to put on our people don't touch your life in any way. Thank you so much to everyone that has followed us and supports the channel on Patreon. Please consider supporting us on Patreon or with a love donation through PayPal. And definitely check out our podcast, family. Wake Up Africa, which is purely a news, a news channel with Dr. Mumbi Saraki, as well as Dr. Mumbi Show, the podcast edition. Until next time. Tuko pamoja.